Well, hey there. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ann Sieg coming at you. Looks like my phone is there. We go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so before I dive into this topic, make sure you go to annsiegmentor.com to join my private leadership community. We really focus once a month on a business leadership development book. For which we are meeting this coming Wednesday. We'll be going over Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. So go to annsiegmentor.com. All right, so I work in 3 different niches, or I have significantly worked in, making 7 figures in each one of them, and that is attraction marketing, which is learning how to attract business to you, information marketing, affiliate marketing, and now I'm in e-commerce. I have a business education school for e-commerce sellers. All right, so today I just did a training. We call it Check and Adjust, where members can come into a small group coaching call and then ask questions of me. And so the question that came up today that may be of interest to you, especially if you are a service provider. So in this case, this gentleman is in the cleaning business. And so he has been running a business very successfully for 20 years, but he really wants to amp it up and get more clients. So basically we were having this conversation. And so this is my checklist. Number 1, first thing I want to know is, who is that perfect customer? Can you describe that person to me? For which he did. Very succinctly, he knew exactly what he wanted. It was basically big contract, needing daily cleaning services, 3-story building. Not one of the huge sky rises, just 3-story. I'm like, bingo, perfect. I said, okay. No, and then 2, I suggested that because I don't know his niche at all, I couldn't even begin to say what would be the best way to market to them, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's direct mail. I really don't know. It's not my audience, and that would be a whole nother, that is a big, big research project. That's not my niche that I would able to recommend, definitively, because that has to be borne out through a lot of testing, successful testing. But what I did recommend is, I'll tell you about the ideal customer part in just a few moments here. But if he subscribes to any business journals relative to his industry, because no doubt this topic of acquiring customers, I would think most definitely would be in a trade journal related to his industry. And if not, I would say that's not a good trade journal. But what I would do is call those different trade journals and I would ask specifically, because I'm all about momentum. I don't say, well, subscribe and then see if they eventually bring up the topic of how do you acquire customers. No, instead call them and ask, do you have any past episodes or journal editions where you talk about this topic, and then see if you can access them. Is what I told them. And furthermore, get in a friendly conversation with whomever it is, the receptionist, and say, curious, out of all your subscribers, have you noted any pattern of anyone where they find that they do have success with a particular marketer who's doing really well in this XYZ niche? I enjoy consultative selling, and I don't mind phone work one bit. And that's where I'm getting to in this conversation. You have to pick up the phone. You do, because really the real guts of marketing is knowing that target audience, or perfect avatar, and then getting to know them. And I said, what I would do personally, so I said, if you can get a database of all these kind of buildings in your city, I would call them. There's nothing like good phone salesmanship. And I said, I guarantee out of doing all these kind of phone calls, you'll get really, really good. You will know what are the pain points, the big frustration points of this audience. And you'll also get to know what they really, really like. We call that data, intelligence, extremely valuable intelligence. Now, of course, there are other ways to do this. There's surveys, but getting them to respond to a survey and getting in front of them is a whole nother matter. But if you can do this over the phone and set up a game plan, be prepared when you call, write up a script, start with something. Because I guarantee you, as you go through these phone calls, you'll further refine your script. You're going to get so many ahas, massively learn about your niche and your industry as you make these phone calls, is what I recommended to this particular owner. And he's got a vested interest to do this because he said if he can just get like 10, 15 accounts of this kind, and then he'd have to get the staff, which is a subsequent issue and challenge. But he said, then I'd be set and I could retire. Boom, I'd be busting my butt off on that one then. So basically, yeah, back to that, the business journals, trade journals. What was the other thing that I had recommended? Oh, if there's any forums, any place related to someone in that particular niche who is an excellent marketer, which there is one, and I referred him to that person, but he knew that person already. And this person was successful in that respective industry about 10 years ago. So he didn't really know how fresh and current his methods are. And that is an astute observation there, because what worked 10 years ago does not necessarily work now. However, there is one thing that always works, and that's being on the phone, a real conversation with someone, and just doing the legwork, you know, pounding the pavement, if you will. In this case, pounding the phone. Hi there, Christy. How are you? I'm just going over a little bit of what we covered this morning in our check and adjust call. Anyways, the beauty of being on the phone. So I'm just going to give you an example of this. This goes back to 2009. Was it December? Where I had my first event. It was in Portland, Oregon. And it was a really big deal. And we had all of these, my premium customers there and whatnot. And I had in my mind what I thought my customers wanted and needed. But I tell you what happened is I was able to have kind of a nice little powwow. I was actually in my hotel room, if I remember correctly, and it's just like 5 or 6 of my top members. And this was out of a huge, huge following of like 400,000 people. And, you know, out of that, so many of them came to this event. And then I'm chatting with them, and I knew who my best people were because I had a course at that time. It was highly interactive. We had it was either 500 or 700 people in there. And so I got to know the people. Just like back then that wasn't a Facebook group. It didn't exist then. Anyways, all to say, I said, oh, hey guys, I would love to have a chat with you. And so I sat down with them, and man, oh man, if I had not talked to them directly, I could have really missed the mark. So I really can't impress upon people enough getting on the phone and talking with people, no matter what your niche is. Here, Christy, I know, is in the green space. There too, anytime you have an opportunity to get on the phone and talk to your people, it's a great, great time to get data and have that conversation with them. I think about Candida, one of our members. She's in an interesting niche about crime fanatics or something like that, crime shows. Anyways, when she gets her orders, she calls them. She calls them and she gets into these conversations, and you get to know your customers. And there's absolutely no better way to get to know your customers than being on the phone. Okay. Oh, you just got done with some vision boards for your new rebranding. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. There you go. Christy, welcome to my world, my dear. But you are very regimented, systematized. You'll get this done. But there too, Christy, it really begs that question of getting, interacting with your people. So something that I had in a previous membership of mine, it was called Ask Ann Sieg, and members were able to submit questions, and it was a content machine. And so I would do one of these per day. I typically would save for the weekend, and they'd be stacked up, and then I'd get them done, and they were each an individual. It was a video, and I answered their questions. And man, there's nothing like that. So that is something too that comes to mind for my gentleman. I don't think he's here now, but he often shows up in my Facebook Lives. He's got a website. There are some minor changes I would recommend, but one could be where ask the expert, the janitorial expert, or however he wants to word it. And then people are asking these questions, and then he can just have this fantastic blog. Because I guarantee you there's got to be at least 1,000 questions around the whole cleaning space. And then he could just be getting all those gorgeous keywords coming in as people would, submit a question. Then he writes a blog post with an answer, and he's going to have these beautiful keywords of what real people really want to know. not made up, but what they really want to know. So that's just a thought for you too, Christy, of, you know, it's just a thought. I think for Greg, there's a direct correlation, but even in the green space, it could be that. And so it's self-generating content, so to speak. And it's also then you get these beautiful keywords, because if one person is asking about that, guaranteed, you know, depending on your traffic, there's a whole bunch of other people who have not asked that question. It's like what they say for legislators. Every letter they receive, a physical letter, is representative of 1,000 other letters. That opinion represents 1,000 other people relative to their constituencies. So, you know, when you get this content factory going, people being able to ask a question. So, yeah, interesting for your side as well. What would you like to find out? Yeah, you know, people have 1,000 questions when they are hot onto a topic, and can have so many awesome questions, and then that becomes something that they're telling you. And the finest in marketing is when people tell you what they want. That is the absolute finest pinnacle of marketing, where you're not trying to think of what they want, but you know what they want because they've told you. So make sure you go to AnnSiegMentor.com. That's my private group community, where I'd love to have you join us there in our group. And hope you got some value out of this. So to recap these steps, the checklist is, top of the list is make sure you identify your perfect avatar. Second, I do recommend that in this case with this gentleman, being that he's more in the brick and mortar space, is to subscribe to industry journals, get in industry blogs, or they wouldn't be mastermind groups, but forums, etc. And then I would cold call. Darn tootin', I would cold call. And it's out of that cold calling. See, for me, that's just the foundation, because from there, as a copywriter, I'm going to be just snarfing up all that gorgeous, you know, writing down the stuff that they absolutely hate, that makes them so mad, and this and that. That's all for good copy. And then I want to know what they really love. And I want to hear everything. And I'm just taking massive notes. And I would do it from a data gathering perspective. No doubt this gentleman will pick up some clients no matter what, if he really puts hand to plow and he follows through with these instructions that I've given him. But anyways, out of that data, then you'll have some valuable intelligence to better fashion your marketing game plan by really knowing who your people are. Okay, knowing what they want. Yes. Well, Christy, again, it's you can see from noting other people in your industry and seeing what is popular with these other companies. And also Amazon is a great place for data. I'm a really big believer in reading the comments, or the, feedback reviews on Amazon for a product. I'll just give you a little example and then I'm gonna have to wrap it up. I had these silicone trays that I was selling. It was a multi-pack and they sold really, really well. And here's what I did, I read the other listings and I was amazed. They were not using these silicone ice cube trays for making ice cubes. They were using them for candy molds, and mine was mini, by the way, for candy, for dog treats, for baby food. So what do you think I put in my product listing? What do you think how I did up my images? I just repackaged my product to suit the audience and what they said they are using the product for. So Amazon product reviews are absolutely amazing. If you want to know research on your niche, your industry, any kind of products, look for the top selling green products. Yeah, on Amazon, and then read the descriptions. They'll tell you what they don't like and they'll tell you what they love. It's nigh onto an industry unto itself. They have special status for the people who write a lot of reviews. There's some who do videos about products. I mean, it is quite the deal. It's kind of like a mini Wikipedia of sorts, going through the Amazon listings. And so for you, Christy, I would really go through, and you will learn so much about your audience. It'll be ridiculous, and I'll tell you the beauty of it. It's all about products. You know, like what are their pet peeves as green people? I'm sure there are quite a few. So that's it. I'm going to give it a wrap. Make sure you go to ansigmentor.com to join my private leadership community and post any kind of marketing questions because that is one of my favoriteest topics. All right, till then, bye-bye. Thanks, everyone. And you can write in hashtag replay. Give me your thoughts if you're watching this after the fact. Thanks. Bye, Christy.